Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday evening to you all. Hope you guys have had a great weekend as we're about to round it off, make our way into another week. I got a couple things to talk about. We're not going to make this video as long as we made last night's video, but we're pretty much going to go over the same information, but talk about some changes. So we're going to talk about the tropics, and we're going to talk about some good news, which is the possibility of a nice change of air masses across the eastern U.S. as we get into this coming weekend. So not obviously this weekend that we're still in right now, but next weekend. I'm really, last night, and I mentioned on social media that I was thinking, hey, this for us in the South, I don't think this is going to be a real technical first shot at fall weather. And I still don't think it is, but some confidence has increased that I really think you'll feel a substantial difference sometime this weekend, even for areas of the Southeast, and obviously for areas of the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, Ohio Valley. So we're going to talk about that. I'm actually more juiced up to talk about that rather than the tropics. So stay tuned for that. That'll be the second half of the video. So skip ahead. When I'm able to do this full-time, guys, I'll make chapters in my videos. That just takes a lot of work. I don't do this full-time. It's a part-time gig, and it takes a lot more time than what you probably would think it would. So stay tuned. The growth is slow with this channel, but I'm telling you, it's steady, and we're getting there. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If you guys got anything that I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. Let's get rolling. National Hurricane Center has a 40% chance of development in the next 5 days. Nothing's changed from when we talked about a little bit last night. It's the 2 p.m. update. And honestly, this might change to the 8 p.m. update here in about an hour and a half or 2 hours. But it might get upgraded to a 50% chance. But overall, I don't see really any big differences right now from when I talked about it this morning. But we'll talk about a couple things. 40% chance for this to become potentially Danielle, but for this to become a tropical cyclone. So we'll continue to watch this. And let's take a look at it right now. Still completely trying to get off the coast of North Africa. But it's a pretty vigorous wave. It's a strong wave. It's looking healthy. It really is, and in fact, guidance probably, as far as what it looks like right now, probably leans more towards a GFS solution in the short to midterm, meaning the GFS likes the idea of this really becoming a tropical storm. So if this is to hold on this convective explosions that's going on with this tropical wave, we would expect something more like a GFS scenario to play out, which as far as this threatening anybody, it really doesn't change anything because it's going to be out in the ocean, not affecting anybody. But chances of it taking that name of Danielle, we'll have to see. There's also some areas closer off the eastern U.S. that we need to talk about too, that who knows, that might take the name. But we compare this, which is right now, to what the European, which is a weaker, reliable model, is trying to show for right now. And it's about the same, but it certainly has a more strung out, weaker, and not as put together tropical wave. So it's verifying right now stronger, and you're getting those convective explosions. And it's definitely starting to enter a period of what we call D-min, which is basically a period of time where the convection doesn't pop off as much, as opposed to D max when the sun is coming up. That is typically when we have our convective explosions out here in the tropics. We'll talk about that more when it's needed. But if you've been watching my videos just over the last couple months, I've mentioned it and talked about it before. But the entire Atlantic basin, here's that tropical wave. You got a weak one right here that's not going to do anything. It's going to get eaten alive by dry air. And you got a lot of dry air up here. You got shear up here. You got the tut that's creating hostile conditions in all levels of the atmosphere. And then back home, just normal, good old-fashioned weather ongoing. So we'll take a look at the latest GFS and 12Z. The 06Z is probably coming out right now. But really, let's see. Let's see what we can look at here. How much of the 18Zs came out? So 84 hours. So we can look a little bit at it. We'll start this off by right now. And this is the tropical wave, not this. We keep this going here in time. Here in the next, this is Tuesday morning, we're starting to get a stronger tropical wave, and then we're getting into Wednesday morning, and this is becoming a little stronger, but still above 1,000 millibar low pressure. And then we're at around 2 a.m., give or take some hours, let's not say an exact hour frame, but just overnight Wednesday night into Thursday morning. You have 1,003 millibar low pressure. You compare that to the last run, and it's a little weaker. In fact, it's trended weaker. It's actually trending a little further south as far as the path it's going to take, as opposed to turning northwest very quickly. And it's trending weaker. And a weaker storm would go more so east to west. A stronger storm will try to turn northwest faster. So it makes more sense. So I would say, and it's not being talked about much, the GFS is trending in the kind of in the not in the midterm, but the kind of the near term, a little bit more towards the European and the Icon and the Canadian models. That's what I would say. That's what I would lean towards. So I'm starting to lean towards more so, I would say, a lower chance this becomes Danielle. But it's going to be I keep saying trappable. This is going to be a trackable system. But as far as it affecting anybody becoming a full-fledged hurricane, I think it's a very, very low chance. You look at the European and what it likes. It's the European and all the other models besides the GFS, which is the most aggressive scenario, has held to its guns. Keeps this a weak tropical wave, never even gets it really close to 1,000 millibar low pressure, which I always is considered the threshold of flirting with tropical storm status. It never even gets close. It's just a blob of moisture, and it never really does anything as we get into around this time next week. By the time we get to this time next week, it's then crossed the entire main development region, the tropical Atlantic, and really hasn't bothered anybody. So I would say that the threat with this is, I say threat, but I would say the chances of this becoming a named storm is decreasing. I would say that. A little bit closer to home, what you're looking at here is vortices. So there's going to be a front, and we're about to talk about the influence of this front here shortly. But this is starting off around Friday morning. There's going to be a front that stalls out. Pieces of energy will ride the boundary of this front as troughing digs across portions of the eastern U.S. You're going to have storm systems out in the eastern U.S. So you see these vibrant colors right here. This is what we call vortices, vort max. You watch for little spins, the little wind barbs that are kind of going like this in motion. That tells us there's a little bit of spin in the atmosphere. The latest GFS likes the idea of something forming off that trough boundary, developing, scooting, riding north across the boundary, and actually turning into a tropical storm. This is one GFS run, and actually heading right towards the coastal regions of Maine as we make it into next weekend. It's just one scenario, one model run, but it's interesting. A couple other model runs are also flirting with the idea of some mischief in the Gulf of Mexico. We'll see how that irons out. There's some spins that have been showing up on models. But in general, guys, we got to watch out what's going on at home too. But I can tell you, as much talk as there been about the tropics over the last 3-4 days, honestly, I don't see anything that screams big potential for anything big. I really don't. So I'll just leave it at that. I really will. GFS shows that tropical storm that likes to form off the latest GFS. We'll see what the 18Z GFS shows. But that's a sub-1,000 millibar low pressure off the coast of Nantucket, Massachusetts, around Saturday morning. So who knows? We'll see what happens here. I don't have much confidence that that's actually going to happen, but we'll see. One thing that I'm actually looking a little bit more forward to talking to, okay? So we're starting this off Monday morning. Keep your eyes up here. I need to slow it down. Keep your eyes up here. Dew points. These are dew points, not temperatures. You're looking at dew points, and I talked about this last night. Dew points really symbolizes what kind of air mass is in place. Dew points in the 60s and 70s and higher is a tropical air mass. It's very humid outside. Dew points, anything below, I would say, 58, 59 degree dew point, you're starting to not have any humidity. By the time you get into the low 50s, I've always considered the low 50s as far as dew points, basically where you can walk outside and say, hey, I don't feel any humidity out there at all. It feels nice. Even if it might be 90 degrees, you got dew points in the low 50s, it's going to feel pretty okay in the shade. It really will. So we watch this air mass change as this upper trough digs through here, and we're getting into around midweek. We're already seeing a little bit of influence from it right here, but the real influence comes in across the Great Lakes, the Midwest, the north central U.S., and it digs here. This is a very fleeting air mass, but it is a refreshing air mass. Check it out. I'll stop here. This is around Friday afternoon. This is moving in just in time for the weekend. Beautiful timing. It really is. Dew points crashing out of the 60s and 70s into the 40s for the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast. This is moving in all across the Great Lakes region. And then as we get into, I would say, overnight, Friday into Saturday morning, Look at these dew points in the 40s and 50s, all the way down into Georgia and South Carolina, almost clearing the entire state of North Carolina, well down to Tennessee, Kentucky. We still got to figure out the positioning of this troughing. Is it a little bit more east? Is it a little bit more west? If it's more west, it would cover a lot more area and give a lot more people more relief. If it's a little bit more east, it would just be penetrating more of just the northeast. But this provides a nice shot of dry air all the way into the southeast. Now, there will be a boundary between dry air and moist air somewhere down there, but it's too early to talk about where. But this is around Saturday morning. You're waking up. South Carolina, most of Georgia, all of Tennessee, Kentucky, most of North Carolina, Virginia. Anybody points north after that, you're waking up Saturday morning, this coming Saturday morning, August the 13th, and thinking, holy cow, this feels like fall out here. This feels like football. Let me go on and light my pumpkin spice candle. And it's going to be a nice air mass for mid-August standards. It really is. How long does this last? Well, I think it'll be a nice day for most of the eastern U.S., for your Saturday. But then Sunday, the air mass begins to get on out of here, and then the humid air returns. So it only lasts maybe 36 to 48 hours, which isn't surprising. That's how it is this time of the year. You look at the European, and and by the way, the European likes this also. In fact, the European probably shows a better blast of dry air than the GFS does. So the models agree right now. So I want to show you this. I know I'm always biased towards the Carolinas, but this is showing Virginia, areas of West Virginia, Kentucky, Eastern Tennessee. And I'm showing you more so the Southeast because I think it's more rare for us to see this kind of air mass in mid-south. I'm not talking about it's like super rare, but it's certainly very uncommon. So going forward here, we're going through in time. These are potential high temperatures for Friday. So very warm still. You got into the 80s, but look at this. Only into the low 80s, only in the 70s in Kentucky and West Virginia. This is nice. Nice shot of cool air. Still very warm in Georgia, South Carolina, most of North Carolina. But as we get into overnight Friday into Saturday morning, check this out. These are potential low temperatures Saturday morning. Look at these nice. If you're going up to the mountains this coming the weekend, you pick the perfect weekend. Temperatures in the 40s, maybe in the 50s for low temperatures, especially the higher up elevation you go. But I know you're thinking, well, Mitch, temperatures in the upper 60s really isn't that big of a deal. But if you combine the temperatures in the mid to upper 60s for low temperatures across North Carolina, the upstate of South Carolina, even the Midlands of South Carolina, northern GA, Virginia, you combine temperatures in the 60s mixed with dew points only in the 50s, you're going to wake up Saturday morning, and boy, I tell you, it is going to feel phenomenal. A stout difference. You're going to wake up, and you're just going to say, wow, I haven't felt this in a couple months. And I think this will be the case if this unfolds. Very, still warm days Saturday for potential high temperatures, but at the same time, it's going to be below average, and there's going to be lack of humidity for most of this area you're looking at. And then we look at it again for Sunday morning, and still very pleasant, very nice, a little bit warmer, but very nice with no humidity. So I'm excited to talk about that this week, and try to figure out if this is going to work out the way we hope it does. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all. Hope y'all guys had a great weekend. God bless all y'all, and I'll talk to y'all in the morning.